Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for the Air Advisor Memorial Foundation's 11th Annual Remembrance Ceremony. I am Technical Sergeant Peter Gonzalez, Aircraft Maintenance Air Advisor with the 818 Mobility Support Advisory Squadron, and the President of the Air Advisor Memorial Foundation. Over the last several years, the Air Advisor community has seen changes in its biological makeup, from mission priorities, newly formed partnerships around the world, and the standing up of advisory squadrons throughout the Department of the Air Force. As a unified effort within our community and holding steadfast to the mission of the Foundation, honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice will not change, but rather continue to be our guiding principle. With that, again, thank you for joining us for this year's ceremony. At this time, I would like to invite Chaplain Gregory Jans to come forward to offer us a prayer and a few words. Thank you, Chaplain Jans. At this time, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of our commanders, senior enlisted leaders, first sergeants, and Air Advisor comrades, both past and present, from around the world who have joined us today to remember our fallen heroes. The Air Advisor Memorial Foundation hosts these remembrance ceremonies every year to honor, rededicate, and remember the Air Advisors whose names are posted on the memorial wall. The goal of our annual ceremonies are to raise awareness for those Air Advisors who were killed while serving our nation honorably, to rejuvenate their memories, to keep their spirits alive, and to offer support in the healing process for their families and friends. We commend all who are joining us today, near and far, to honor the fallen, and above all, thank their families and friends for their continued support and trust to carry out this humbling tradition. With that said, please welcome our guest speaker who will now share a few words. The first Air Advisor Memorial Foundation's president, Colonel Olaf Holm, U.S. Air Force, retired.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Olaf Holm, Colonel, United States Air Force, retired. I was an Air Advisor in Afghanistan from 2009 to 2010, and I was the Commandant of the Air Advisor Academy from 2011 to 2014. Today, on the 10th anniversary of the Air Advisor Memorial, dedicated on 27 July 2012, we take time to honor those 11 heroes whose names are on the memorial wall. Additionally, I want to talk to you about the development and the creation of the Air Advisor Memorial and the love and dedication of everybody involved to make this memorial possible. In July 2011, I packed up my family and we moved from Spokane, Washington to Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, JBMDL, to stand up and take command of the Air Advisor Academy. During that 5-day drive across the United States, I have overwhelming thoughts on my mind. First, I wanted to do everything I could to learn from the mistakes that were made that allowed the tragedy on 27 April to occur, then develop tactics and techniques and training to ensure that this never happens again to Air Advisors in the field. Secondly, I wanted to somehow, some way build a memorial to our fallen, heroic Air Advisors. During our long drive, I had a lot of time to think. I developed the idea that this memorial should be something more than a plaque on the wall or a simple statue of some sort. I wanted this to be a place where family and friends can come to feel welcome with an element of privacy and serenity. As we drove on, I reflected on my visits to the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. This brought me to the idea of a similar design using a wall, but instead of being dug into the earth that represented the deep wounds in our nation's history, I wanted the Air Advisor Memorial to reach out to the sky. I thought of my year deployed to Kabul and the visions of the incredible snow-capped Hindu Kush mountains that dominated the northwest view. So I developed the idea that the memorial should be the outline of a large A for air, with the outer line stretching 40 feet or more that rises out of the ground into the air like the Hindu Kush mountains do above Kabul. For the inner line to be complete of the A, I thought of the beautiful stacked stone waterfall feature found at the Expeditionary Center at Joint Base MDL. When I went through the Air Advisor course at the Expeditionary Center just prior to my deployment in 2009, during my breaks from class, I found that the waterfall to be a very peaceful and beautiful place to relax. So I envisioned the large A to be completed with a similar stacked stone waterfall with water cascading down on all 4 sides. The space between the center line of the waterfall of the A and the wall itself would, I felt, become a sanctuary for a visitor to hear nothing but the gentle sounds of water falling along the rocks, and to be a semi-private and peaceful location to remember and pray. As for the second A for Air Advisor, I could not see it being as big as the first. There are smaller foothills that rise up all around Kabul, so my thoughts for the second A would represent those smaller foothills that lead up to the mountains. This A would be similar in design, just a smaller version, and would hold the plaque that would describe the sacrifices made by our air advisors. And with that, driving across the United States, I came up with the basic plan for the Air Advisor Memorial. Shortly after my family arrived at our new home at Joint Base McGuire-Dix, I put the pen to paper and made a simple sketch of the Air Advisor Memorial. And believe you me, I don't have any artistic skills whatsoever. So it was hard for me to share my vision even with my family, let alone the leadership of JBMDL, of whom I had to gain the approval to make the memorial. I ended up buying a landscape design software program, and with the help of my two sons, Eric and Andrew, we created a three-dimensional image of the memorial that really brought the memorial to life. I noticed something else about my renderings. The two A's in their design, rising as a wall at an angle, also developed a very striking image of two aircraft taking off in formation to the sky. This became a very important symbology for the memorial that I wanted to build in the final design. With my family settled into our new home, my first official task was to visit the commander of JBMDL to introduce myself and the Commandant of the Air Advisor Academy, as the Air Advisor Academy Commandant. I received a warm welcome from the base leadership as they looked forward to building of the Air Advisor Academy. However, with regard to the Air Advisor Memorial, I found that the base leadership was surprised to learn that those air advisors killed in Afghanistan in Kabul on 27 April had trained right there at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. The commander promised me his support and suggested I visited the base Civil Engineer Squadron for further advice. Right after that, I visited that Civil Engineer Squadron to go over my intent to build the Air Advisor Memorial. I remember meeting with and giving my idea to the commander and his staff. And his top civilian director of operations, a real local New Jersey guy, looked at me and asked me in his thick accent, "Do you have any money?" I said, "No." Do you have any idea where you want to build it?" "No," I said. "Hey, listen, do you have any blueprints?" Again, sheepishly, I answered no. He looked at me and said, "Hey, look, Colonel, I can't help you, but I know a guy." Well, next stop, that guy turned out to be a manager of the E.P. Henry hardscape manufacturing plant right outside of JBMDL. E.P. happens to manufacture the very type of papers I wanted to use to build the memorial. I made an appointment with this guy, Zeke, and went over to give him my spiel. I was brought into his conference room where I spoke with Zeke and some of his staff. I told him about how in 2009 I became an air advisor, training with other airmen from bases around the world right there at JBMDL. How during the courses we became good friends, spending time in the local economy, going out to dinner at local restaurants and pubs while we prepared to go to war. I told them that all of us who trained here to become air advisors considered JBMDL in South Central New Jersey as our home. I asked them, did they know that 8 of the 9 people killed on 27 April at that shooting in Kabul had been trained right there at JBMDL. They were all shocked. Some of them had heard of the shooting, but none of them knew that their training had been done right there at JBMDL. I told Zeke and the staff how I planned on building a memorial to honor my fallen comrades, and I showed them my computer images of the memorial and explained the concept. I told them I had planned to use the hardscape materials like E.P. Henry manufactures. Zeke asked me how big it was going to be. I told him roughly the size of half court of basketball. I said, given the types of materials and the dimensions of my plan, I requested from Zeke a cost estimate from E.P. Henry to build the memorial. Zeke just shook his head and said, there isn't going to be any estimate. Stunned, I asked, you can't help me with an estimate? He said, no, we got this. We will take care of it, of getting you the materials. I could not believe it. In my first couple of days in New Jersey, I had met some of the most generous, patriotic, and caring people I'd ever met in my life. And true to his word, Zeke and his folks at E.P. Henry never charged us a dime for any of the materials. They attended every meeting and provided expert advice on the design and provided labor for the construction. Zeke also gave me a name of yet another guy that could help. That next guy was Christopher Zendersky. Christopher was a licensed landscape engineer working for a local landscaping firm. I met with Christopher a couple of days later, and he gave him the story of the air advisors, our training, the shooting, and my plans for the memorial. Without hesitation, he offered his expertise to draw up professional legal plans and, incredibly, be my lead contractor for the construction of the memorial, all under pro bono, for free. And he was incredible from start to finish and to this very day. A little over a week later, Christopher had taken my plans and turned them into a beautiful construction-ready print, complete with landscaping. It was breathtaking to see the Air Advisor Memorial come to life Adding to the whole aircraft concept, Christopher designed a walkway to the memorial that brilliantly captured the image of a runway, driving home the symbology of the Air Advisor Memorial rising to the sky. Thereafter, I looked for volunteers to create the first Air Advisor Memorial Board. I was the first president. Wendy McDonald, my secretary at the Academy, served as the vice president. My wife, Jonna, was the treasurer, and our secretary was Tech Sergeant Katie Smith. Additionally, we were very fortunate to have Lieutenant Colonel Sally Stenton, an advisor who was in Kabul on the day of the shooting, to be our liaison with the family members. I also had to work very closely with the JBMDL legal office and found them to be extremely productive in helping me establish a nonprofit Air Advisor Memorial Foundation. With an approved nonprofit, we can now raise the funds to cover costs. We started with the hugely successful sales of the engraved pavers for people and groups to purchase in support of the memorial. Fundraisers were held all over the globe in different bases from Alaska to Europe to Japan that brought in thousands of dollars for the foundation. One of my new officers, Lieutenant Colonel J.D. Scott, came up with a brilliant fundraising event where 4 groups of 9 volunteers, each carrying a paver brick with the name of one of the fallen, conducted a ruck march relay from the top of the still under construction New World Trade Center, through Manhattan, across the George Washington Bridge to New Jersey and back to JBMDL in just 24 hours. With money being raised and approval from JBMDL leadership on the location and design, we moved forward with construction in the spring of 2012. The Chief of Operations at the Civil Engineering Squadron found a useful training opportunity for his earth-moving equipment operators and started the project in earnest by digging a trench that coincidentally matched the lines drawn on the ground for the foundation of the memorial. I spoke at the Northeast Regional Carpenters Union and briefed a meeting of several hundred members of the union about our memorial, and they stepped up to volunteer and built and framed the foundation of the memorial in just 2 days. I was put in touch with the president of Williamson College of Trades near Philadelphia, and when they were briefed on our mission, their senior class at the School of Masonry generously provided the skilled labor to construct the memorial as a senior project. The weather for the construction could not be worse. It was miserable, rainy, muddy mess, but in 2 visits of 5 days or so, with the kids being housed and fed on base, they did an amazing job putting the wall together. Next, Christopher and his team from the landscape company put in the landscaping and built the waterfall feature. We did have to pay for this portion of labor in pumps and gravel, but my goodness, did this turn out amazing. Christopher masterfully designed the waterfall to be so approachable by filling the pool with gravel and putting large stones next to the falls so people could actually sit down for some quiet reflection. Christopher was nothing short of amazing running the whole show. It must be noted that during the construction of the memorial, Christopher's father was gravely ill, but all the while his dad was supportive of Christopher building this memorial, right up until the day he died, shortly before the dedication of the memorial. Thank you, Pops. The pavers that went into the walkway and the rest of the ground surface area of the memorial were completed primarily by the lovely people at E.P. Henry. They spent countless days laying it out and even had my 2 sons, Andrew and Eric, help complete the project. You see, this whole project was truly a labor of love from our whole community. Time and time again, facing endless roadblocks and issues, I was often not sure where to turn to next for help. And yet, always somebody from our team or the local community figured it out and got this memorial done in love for the fallen and their families. Finally, on 27 April 2012, we were able to put everything in place for the memorial dedication. Sally Stenton was simply remarkable, working and coordinating with the family members. Wendy and Katie surgically worked out all the invitations prepared for all of the many dignitaries. I believe there were 11 generals and over 800 families. It was a resounding success that honored the NADCA 9 and their families. Since then, every Air Advisor class takes a tour of the Air Advisor Memorial, and they learn of the sacrifices made by the brave men and women that paid the ultimate sacrifices as U.S. Air Force Air Advisors. From this, they learn the importance of the mission they undertake and take to heart the tactics, techniques, and procedures to make them effective and safe Air Advisors in the field. In 2015, on the 5th anniversary of the shooting, we added 2 more names of our fallen Air Advisors tragically killed in a helicopter crash in Kabul. This shows that we built this memorial for all Air Advisors and truly stands as a continuous legacy of Air Advisors dating back all the way to Vietnam. I am so touched that today the memorial lives on and continues to honor all that have served and sacrificed as Air Advisors. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Air Advisor Memorial Foundation President, Tech Sergeant Peter Gonzalez, and your staff for working so hard to keeping this memorial a beautiful place for all of us to visit, learn, reflect, and pray to honor our fallen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Colonel Holm. At this time, we will read the names of the fallen, accompanied by photographs provided by the families and friends of our brothers and sisters in arms.
Colonel Frank Bryant. Lieutenant Colonel James McLaughlin. Major Phyllis Pelkey. Major Phil Ambard. Major Jeffrey Osborne. Major David Broder. Major Raymond Estelle. Major Charles Ransom. Captain Nathan Nylander. Master Sergeant Tara Brown. Master Sergeant Gregory Coos.
As we close today's ceremony, I would like to take a moment to thank the individuals who made all of this possible. The U.S. Air Force Expeditionary Center's Public Affairs Office, Fairchild Air Force Base's Public Affairs Office, the U.S. Air Force Office of Special Investigations Detachment, our newly appointed board officers, the entire Air Advisor community, and our supportive and inspiring families and friends of the heroes we honor today and forevermore.